Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's a kind of blowy Tuesday afternoon. I've read all afternoon and watched leaves falling. Every now and again there'll be a little scattering of those yellow leaves, kind of honey yellow leaves from, I think it's the cherry tree. And we've been watching the wood pigeons landing out there. Me and Socks, he sat with me all afternoon and he's been shouting for dreamies every now and then because he knows I have this supply that arrived in his parcel in the post today. I've been reading Nigel Slater's Toast. I've just got the very end of it to go and really enjoying it. I love reading memoirs, I realise, and this one, because it's a time slightly before my own growing up. I guess he must be 10 years older, a bit more perhaps. Lots of it's familiar though. The food, of course, is conjured in this particular deft way as he falls in love with food. But there's all this difficult family stuff, this loss of his mother, the grief goes right through the book. And then this stepmother who comes in who's a bit common compared. She likes things that his own mother would never approve of. There's a great list of differences between them at one point that's wounding, really. The way that kids notice things about adults and notice the differences in taste and habits, the way that kids notice adults organising the world around them is very well done, I think. Anyway, I've got the last 20 pages to go. I realise I was thinking about what counts as a kind of 5-star read for me. Not that I give things scores at all usually, or maybe I'll start. Scores out of 5, that might be fun. And two things strike me about books I really enjoy. One is that they have to give me a really intense reading experience. I'm just going to prop this up. It's all right. And that intensity means that I sit for hours and save up the last 20 pages or so. Don't gollop them all down. So that intensity of experience is important. And that's something that makes a difference between, say, something I enjoy, like The Wishing Game. The Wishing Game? Yep. That I just finished before this. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't intense. It wasn't... in some ways, when I'm really enjoying a book, it's like the book reads me. Rather than the other way around. It stops being an act of reading. It's happening to me. I'm inside the book. And that's the intensity that I'm looking for each time. And this has had that for me, because it has transported me back into the experience of this person I don't know. And that's what it's all about. The other thing is that there has to be characters who come absolutely to life, so that I feel as if I've met them, or I could return to the book and meet them again. And this father who has, spoilers again, just been killed off towards the end of this with a fatal heart attack is so vivid. His anger and his need for this second wife and his snobbery and his ambivalent relationship with this quite fey son that he has, and this slightly coarse woman who cooks cakes for him, cooks meals for him and bakes cakes, and seems to kind of feed him up like a witch in a fairy tale, really. And the the mother who recedes into the past as the book goes on are extremely vivid. And all the secondary characters who come in, the handsome ballet dancer, teenager who he kisses by the river, are very present. And I realise that's what my favourite reads have to have as well. They have to have characters who leap off the page, which seems such an obvious thing to say, but it's never more true than when you experience that, when you've just experienced that in a book, and you realise that a lot of the time in reading you're making do with characters who don't quite step off the page, with books that aren't quite as intense as all of that. Yeah, you know when you're enjoying something. At least this is true for me. I know when I've been enjoying something, and that's when the kind of fetishism of books, people talking about books as objects or whatever, becomes irrelevant, because a really good read to me is like you're not even holding a book at all. It just kind of burns off and you're left with pure story. You can't even see the book. As I said, it's happening to you rather than you reading it. Sorry, Saki, I've got to move to fetch these books. Do you mind? Because I've settled on some books to dip into for Halloween over the next few days. I've been wrangling, come on, and organising spooky books for ages, but then I suddenly saw these on my shelves here beside my working and reading chair, and thought, oh, I've got to go back to these. I bought this a while ago, a collection of stories by Daphne du Maurier, illustrated by Michael Foreman. And I suddenly thought, I want to reread Don't Look Now and maybe The Blue Lenses. And this is the best time to do that. In some ways, as with Christmas reading, Halloween reading should be rereading, revisits, hauntings. Going back to old haunts. That's the pun I'm after, isn't it? Old haunts. There must be a... look at these drawings, these Foreman drawings. So nice to see Michael Foreman doing something spooky. Because there's always something slightly uncanny and dreamlike about what he does. So, some Daphne du Maurier. And this was a present a long time ago from my mum. The Walker Book of Ghost Stories, edited by Susan Hill. I don't know when this was really, sometime in the 90s, late 90s. And I just love it. I think it's a beautiful book. There's been a recent tag or fad on YouTube, hasn't there, about beautiful books and people dragging out their most beautiful books. This would have to be one of mine. This lovely gift. It's got the most beautiful illustrations. They're so moody. That's a very scary one. The illustrations are all by Angela Barrett. Someone I'll have to look up. They're all paintings. Beautifully detailed paintings. Look at these. Yeah, these are books to treasure, and that's what they are. And finally, this collection, Ghostly, edited by Audrey Neffenegger. And she is the author of two novels that I love, The Time Traveller's Wife. And, the other one is, it's got a funny title that doesn't suit. It didn't suit the book. I think it was her Fearful Symmetry. Yeah. I haven't read other things by her. This came out a number of years ago, and it was a present from a really good friend. About 6 years ago. It was a birthday present from Jamie 6 years ago. and it's got some lovely stories in. It's got people you would expect, like M.R. James and Neil Gaiman and Rudyard Kipling, Edgar Allan Poe, and she's done that nice thing of including a story of her own, which the best anthologists do, I think. Saki, the famous A.S. Byatt ghost story, The July Ghost, and some people I've never heard of as well. So this is one for dipping into and returning to. And that's my plan when I've finished with Nigel Slater's book. My thing at the moment is writing in the morning up to about 2,000 words, although today was a shorter chapter. I will get this manuscript done in 6 weeks. I think I've got about 3.5 more weeks to go. So it's a nice stage of the process, not quite halfway through a book, and lots of other bits of jobs finished. So I'm in the kind of happiest part, really, of writing a book. And it's nice to hit my stride as a reader as well, to hit a purple patch of reading. That makes me happy and contented. As content as socks with a new packet of Dreamies in the post. Okay, I shall go. I should be back soon with maybe a roundup of what I've liked reading this October, perhaps, and watching maybe. But either way, you'll see me again soon. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.